Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi, welcome to the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kitchens back in the studio. Glad that you're with us today. It's been a full weekend of college football and pro football. We've got a playoff bracket. We've got bowl games set. We've got coaching news going on all over the place, really. So glad to have you with us today. Kind of a rainy day here in Biloxi, but we shall move on. Jimmy,
great day to be in a sports book, Charles.
Yes, it is. A little nasty outside. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Excuse me. I think I'm doing better than Greg Sankey today.
Yeah.
I think it was a rough week for Sankey.
Didn't get a fourth team.
Well, I mean, you kind of partner in this deal with the Big Ten. They're not as good as you. Now, there is a chance therefore their fourth team might be better than the SEC's fourth team. There's a chance of that happening. But your conference, by any metric, conference RPI, NET, is stronger. I mean, if I'm South Carolina, if I'm Ole Miss, excuse me, if I'm Alabama, I'm calling Sankey and saying, hey, man, what's going on? What kind of representation you set us up with here? And if I'm and he already got publicly lambasted by the conference champion, Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's fail on him?
No, it's fail on the teams. If there were, and this is what bothered me about.
You agree the SEC is the stronger conference, right?
I do. Okay. I'm particularly disturbed by Greg Bryan, the athletic director at Alabama's comments about reassessing his non-conference scheduling philosophy, which is the last thing we want. Okay, the last thing we want is less competitive games in a non-conference. As it is, we're getting about 3/4 or better of just absolute mismatches. We don't want a fourth. So when he says he's disappointed with the outcome and that they have to reassess their non-conference scheduling, my response to that is your non-conference schedule is not what kept you out. You played Wisconsin. You won that game. You lost to 2 6-6 teams. Okay? If you're Ole Miss, you lost to a 1-7 team in the conference. This is not the committee's fault. This is not scheduling's fault. This is your fault.
No,
if they had lost
Charlie,
to Wisconsin.
The league set up this conference schedule for these 2 years. You think Alabama had an equal schedule to Texas?
No.
You think Georgia had an equal schedule to Texas?
No.
You think Ole Miss, South Carolina? And with Shane Beamer, it does apply. Were you rewarded for a really tough non-conference road win who a team sitting in there who's got a bye? Or not a bye, but they're in.
Yeah.
Did you get rewarded?
No.
So why schedule?
And if you want to say, that's why you're not scheduling for your South Carolina, that's fine. Ole Miss and Alabama, both of whom beat South Carolina.
Ole Miss's schedule is atrocious, worse than Alabama's,
okay.
No doubt.
So,
Wisconsin could beat Wake Forest anywhere, anytime.
When you go to these 16, 18, 19-team conferences, you're not going to have a balanced schedule.
So who's that on? Who set up these unbalanced schedules? I mean, Texas is 0-2 against ranked opponents. You gave them a cakewalk. Why?
I have no defense for that. None.
But no, you're right about Alabama and Ole Miss. They're misdirected. They should be on Sankey's ass. Why? And it should have been on his ass in June. Kirby's on his ass now, and he won. Kirby wasn't penalized at all.
And until
Kirby knows he was close.
I'll ask you the same question I asked you yesterday, which is, would you feel better if you knew that the 26th schedule, not next year, the 26th schedule was going to have some kind of rotation, and you knew it was coming for Texas. That when this schedule rolls off, that the next one will include games with Alabama, LSU, Tennessee. They played Georgia this year.
Oakland A&M you start off with. They're playing.
Yeah, okay. And you get to one permanent opponent and 7 rotators. And because there's nothing you're going to be able to – some years, Florida and Oklahoma are just not going to be good. But I want to make sure that balances out somewhere down the line. And that's where my frustration is. I want to make sure that over, let's say, a 4-year rotating period, that everybody plays everybody. And we can't let – secondary rivalries, and I'm sorry, I'm calling Georgia and Auburn a secondary rivalry because it's not the most important game for either one of them. There's going to be some kind of rotation. On a year-to-year basis, sometimes it's going to fall this way. I can live with that if it's not going to fall this way all the time.
Conference schedule. No, it's not going to fall this way. No, we do in June, Charlie. You set this. This is BS, man. I mean, Sankey failed. And look, why these guys ain't even in the. They're not even haven't completed their first year, and you're giving them the easy path.
So Texas gets an easy schedule this year and next year, and so Alabama.
Why? What have I been doing? It's like the guy that's been your All-SEC performer 2 years, but you paying the other guy had done crap just to come here to jump ship.
So because of that, Alabama's not going to schedule Wisconsin?
No. Shut up.
Okay. I mean, that's
shush. I mean, come on. I mean, really? I just told you Alabama's venom is misdirected.
Yeah.
For the first time, they got the short end of the stick. Mm-hmm. Did they was their schedule on par with Texas?
No.
Hell no. Okay, that's where Sankey, what was should have been talked to in the summer. But you know how these goes. It's played out even worse.
Right.
How? I mean, Oklahoma, they just take what they get. It is Kirby, he's blasting him right when he's in his shadow.
Sure, he is. And
now Kirby also had it really easy for a long time. Did he not?
When the SEC East was down. Okay?
Yeah.
The SEC East was down.
So I find it, maybe right message, wrong messenger.
Yeah, and so it bothers me that this may affect non-conference scheduling. It bothers me that, for the first time, Jimmy, I have always been under the assumption that the league would get to non-conference games at some point when the TV contracts renewed, that were adjusted rather, that they would go to 9 games. I don't know that anymore. I think if you go to a league meeting right now and put that to a vote, I don't know if you'd have even half of the conference commissioners, ADs, say, yeah, sure, give us another conference game. Give us another chance to lose a game. And that might be what keeps us out of the playoff.
Why is Texas still as high as they are?
I told you that before the game. I told you that yesterday on Football Sunday. Branding. That's it. If you do a blind resume with Texas and call them Utah, okay, or Virginia Tech, and you're like, what did they do? Nothing. It's because of where they were ranked at the beginning of the season and where they're placed in the perceived pecking order of whatever they talk about in that committee room. But if you take the University of Texas's name off of that resume, you go, I can find other teams that did better than that.
Well, you didn't reward South Carolina for having it. That was a hard win.
Yeah,
that was a hard win. If you watch the game, you know that Clemson came to play. It's a tough place to play. That's why Kirby hadn't played these road games like this ever. I mean, and so you go to Bama once every 18 years or whatever it is. Yeah. But they just not, didn't have to go to Oxford, Austin. Help me out with the other one. I mean,
Austin, Oxford, and Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, yes. I mean, neutral site, Florida. I mean, it was pretty tough. But the bad losses won out on the quality wins.
Yeah.
And so if quality wins can't trump bad losses, don't take any unnecessary risks.
And that's why.
And who loses then?
The consumer, the fan.
The season ticket holder, the fan. Yes, really. Alabama's playing Mercer. Great.
In November.
Great. Auburn's playing Alcorn State.
It's an easy fix. It really is. I mean, once you get past a little bit of the emotion, it's an easy fix. If you say, we're going to rotate everybody, save one game for everybody, we're going to rotate the rest. Then
That's your conference schedule. What about your non-conference?
Well, this hurts. I can't.
Yeah.
If I got a major athletic director at a school as prominent as Alabama saying, you know what, we're going to reconsider this, then everybody else is going to fall in line.
Arizona State and Boise State have byes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Really?
And
Arizona State look great. Boise State's got a nice little team.
Again,
Come on, man.
the intention was good. The intention was to reward conference champions.
Oh, get them in. But though the seat that's got to change immediately.
And it probably
that's
will.
got to change.
Will.
That's the easiest fix in this whole thing.
And
get them in, and I'm fine with getting them in, aren't you?
Yes.
It adds so. I want relevant games.
Yes,
I want games,
relevant games.
And how many more? Whether Colorado, and we don't think Colorado's worth a damn, and it should. But if the best out of that group comes out, put them in, man.
I want every coach in the country to be able to stand up and say, we have a path to.
We control our own destiny.
We control our own. On September the 1st, we control our own destiny. I like that part of it.
Was it to give these automatic. These high bid, they just didn't anticipate a lower team like a Boise getting in.
I bet you,
know
it
what I mean?
never crossed their mind that a group of 5 team would get a bye. Wouldn't have crossed
this
mine.
This is going to be, yeah. I mean,
and so a few things may end up in the follow of this: the non-conference scheduling, the expansion of the conference schedule, and I got to tell you that this may be the impending death of the conference championship games too, because if
they protected them though, Charlie. They didn't allow it to. Why is Texas still? That's clear. They protected those teams involved. They did not penalize Texas at all. They put them as high as they could with no quality wins, 0-2 against the top 25, but they were only going to drop them so far. They didn't win the league, so they have to be 5th. Yeah. What were they? 6. They didn't penalize them at all. SMU didn't
penalize them.
SMU did not get penalized. They're in.
And we guarantee that it's going to be that way every year.
No, but the Texas thing tells you where you got to really stink it up.
Yeah.
I mean, if SMU loses by 17, game's in, game's done. They had a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. That's the final score. Are they in?
I don't know, man. I'm trying to give you an honest answer. I really don't know. Was it the comeback that kept him in, or is there something in that committee room where they said, we have to protect the losers of these conference championship games?
Oh, we're going to lose this money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, well, that's real. Follow the money.
So
yes.
I can't tell you for sure. I can't tell you.
Because Waterman, you could conveniently say, when they did have a comeback, well, yes, sure, that made an impact.
And show me their record against top 25 teams. You're selective in your criteria of what
the ACC. They're doing what they can do quietly. Well, it wasn't so quietly because Virginia Tech on a Friday night, they completed a Hail Mary. It went to the league office for review. Did they protect their team that had a chance to get in the playoff? Sure they did. Against California, targeting. Well, let's just completely wave it off. Let's go to the conference. So, if SMU wins, we're only getting one in. Our only path is if Clemson gets in. Box score, Charlie, read it to me. Penalties for Clemson.
I didn't realize.
It's a hard-fought competitive game, right? Came down to the wire. How many penalties, Charlie?
0.
0. Really?
Not a 1.
No kidding. Sank leg. Come on, man. Fight for our guys.
Didn't get there this weekend.
Sankey don't take a hit for this?
Not publicly, probably.
No, with his members. With his members.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. If Kirby
nobody's shedding a tear for Alabama. Whether it's your hate with my kid, I want to control it. It doesn't. It's about they could be on this side, and they can gripe and they can complain because they usually get the benefit of the doubt. Do they not?
Almost always.
Okay. So they didn't, and they just got to. And you know what? Go damn score a touchdown against a mediocre team. Go score a touchdown. All right. At least SMU did that. So they had a lot of a lot of problems themselves. But, I mean, I've got to go talk to Sankey. Oh, I mean, I'm Billy Bad Booster, Ball Bryant Jr. Byrne, you better go let's go meet with Mr. Sankey. Why? What is going on here? What is the makeup of? Are they not? They should.
Yeah. Well,
is Ole Miss carry as big of a mistake? Lane, shut up. Go chase the skirts. Okay. But Alabama can do it. Now, as a neutral site, a neutral guy like LSU, do they care? Because it could easily be them. Hey, man, don't let this happen. We sure as hell, with the one time where they speak with Alabama, Sankey's got to take a hit on this. He's got all the gold. He's got all the leverage.
Yeah, it may not be publicly, but I'm sure they're going to get after him for sure. This is twice now in 3 years that Alabama's been on the cusp and not gotten in. You asked yesterday on Football Sunday, do I think Alabama would have got in if Saban were still a coach? And I thought about it for a second. I said, no, I don't, because Saban politicked in 22 to get in, and they didn't.
They weren't really this close, so Charlie. They were never the favorite. That was just kind of a late thing. Okay, really? Come on, Nick, you're kind of out of it. I mean, they didn't have a case that they have this year. They did not. I mean, I understand.
I don't remember all the details, but yeah, I remember them.
They were never a $5 favorite to advance to the playoff. Trust me.
No,
okay.
I didn't think that they had a very strong case in 22. I don't remember all of it.
No, it was just kind of like, Nick, you're too good. Don't.
That's exactly what we said.
Because he didn't have really a case, Charlie.
Yeah.
He didn't have it. We had a great time over here this weekend. Another great crowd and conference championship week. College basketball, you had some of that. Had a little NBA. We had a little bit of everything. We even had a golf tournament. Man, boy, we got a great price against Scheffler. Oh, well, none of those prices cash. So Justin Thomas had a lead going into the last one, but he couldn't. A rough week for Alabama. Anyway, we're over here. Soto gets his big deal. We're watching games. Got Monday Night Football. Imagine it. Kansas City. They got a doink, huh? This
man.
again, huh? This again. So much for my money line, plus $3. But we'll take the win on the spread as well. So it's always action over here. Carl Johnson and his staff, the great folks over here at the bar and restaurant, they work hard, huh? I mean, they work hard over here.
And it was a very, very lively house on Saturday. A lot of Georgia fans here. A lot of NFL people yesterday. We were sitting right next to a table full of Vikings fans. You know, you just never know what you're going to get in here as far as the fan base. We were sitting next to Cleveland Browns fans the last time we were here. We've seen them come from Detroit.
So MGM has properties in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio, where these junkets come down. Mm-hmm. And so we saw the Vikings fans. You know, this week we've seen Detroit. We were sitting at Mahoney's with Green Bay fans. So, yeah, they're over here, man.
Sat next to a very nice couple here from Wisconsin yesterday who were here, and they were watching Wisconsin basketball against Marquette. So it's a great place to come and watch a game, get a meal, get a cocktail here at the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand at LouisianaSports.net, also 104.5ESPN.com. Hannycast will drop on Tuesday this week on YouTube. All right, Jimmy, what biggest takeaway from the actual games themselves now that we tackle a bracket?
Arizona State.
Yeah.
And Texas talent. And this can be interpreted as speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but just hear me out. I mean, at one point it was 256 to 50. It was like 250 to 50, basically, at one point total yards. And at that point, Texas had 80 yards of penalties. But, Charlie, who pushes Georgia? I guess Ole Miss did a little bit this year. Pushed them around.
Yeah,
that was with a home crowd.
Yep.
That was with a home crowd. This game was in Atlanta. I mean, Texas brought their people, but they didn't have as many as Georgia. But they were pushing them around, and I think it's a really strong roster, solid, not great coaching staff, but solid. that had such an easy path that they didn't get better. I think this game is going to benefit them a lot. And we know, you can't beat Clemson and Arizona State to get to the semis. Yeah. So I thought Ewers can be a little screwy. I think with the amount of starts that he has at this point, he should be a little less careless at times. As he got a little Jameis or a little whatever. He should be a little bit more polished. But I think Texas is going to benefit, and it's kind of a sharp price. But Arizona State flipped. They were the favorite. They were bet to the dog. The data is there. You take a piece away like that, like Tyson. They relied so heavily on him in their passing game. But Dillingham can go in there and he can be tight, or he can be. Hey, 4th and 1 from our own 39. No, not only we're going to go for it, we're going to use our option A, clear option A, and we're just going to use him as a decoy. And I'm going to throw it to a receiver who's got maybe 10 catches all year. But my guy, Levitt, he's going to be so wide open. Love the safety coming in on 4th and a half yard. You're not going to make the play at a half yard. If you have to make the tackle, it's going to be pass the conversion. Sit the hell tight. And also Iowa State, but not 93rd in rush defense, and I thought they did a poor job of not stacking the box. But Levitt was so sharp. It was the most complete effort. It was most dominant and really embarrassing. Hey, man, cute little story. Go beat Arizona in your rivalry game. Go run the roof when Cam Rising is playing on 1.5 legs. I know, but whew, they smoked them, Charlie.
They did, and we both were on Iowa State because we thought that they would stack the box against Scatterboo and they would not be able to run the football. But not only did they run the football against them, but Levitt, like you said, had such a terrific game. We thought that Jordan Tyson's absence would really, really hamstring them, and it didn't. And this was no fluke. This was gate to wire. They came out and jumped on them. I want to about Georgia and Texas. You said they pushed them around. I didn't think that they pushed them around as much as they took advantage of mismatches in the secondary and were able to really throw the ball effectively. Texas didn't run the football against Georgia in this game. And they didn't run the football against Georgia in the first game. They averaged a yard a carry both times.
Factoring in sacks.
Yeah, okay, so I think
they sacked him 7 times the first game.
Okay.
Those are factored into the rushing
stats. They are. But I didn't think that Texas ran the football effectively in either one of those games. And I thought Georgia did. They averaged 4 yards a carry in the first game. They averaged just under 4 yards a carry in this game. So I didn't think that there was a mismatch up front in Texas's version. I thought that was actually slanted to Georgia. But the Georgia secondary, and this has been a problem for them all year, and if you looked at what Ole Miss did when they made big plays, Alabama, not just to play to Ryan Williams that won them the game, but a number of other big plays against him in the secondary. And again here in this game on Saturday, they allowed multiple big plays, and I thought that was where the mismatch was, not necessarily as much up front. And if they get Indiana.
Hold on. I'm going to let you rethink for a second. 260 to 54. That's what it was at one point. Mm-hmm. It was with Paul Stone, Texas alum, earlier today. That's when they had the 80 yards. You didn't get to that by not running the ball on them.
They didn't. It was almost all on. It was almost all in the air.
260 to 54.
And how many of those 260 yards at that point were through the air?
I don't know. But they were not. It was not like they were not. They abandoned the running game. They were running it. They were pretty balanced. Charlie, they were killing them. We watched the game. How's Georgia still in it? But they are. Hey, man, they're really good. You had your chance. Missed field goals or turnovers. They are.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
You sat here and called one.
I did.
He snuck it in, but and then the penalty, another penalty, that was a difference in a missed field goal. And, man, them points were hard, bro.
They were.
And when you just blow that many opportunities, whether it's penalties, missed field goals, turnovers, or Ewers a stinker here or there, No, I mean, no. Did they run through them? There's 220 of the 260, but you don't get to 260 to 54 without controlling the line of scrimmage.
If you add the sack total back in, it's 58 yards on 28 carries for Texas on the day. Now
How many tackles for losses in there? But I understand, Charlie. But you don't run the ball some without.
They tried. They ran it 28 times and they threw it 48. That's to me where the mismatches were. Not as much at the line of scrimmage. I mean, Ewers threw for 358, and I'm looking here, 50-yard gain, 41-yard gain, 22-yard gain, 20-yard gain. This is I hadn't done the whole math, but this is half a dozen plays or more that are 20 yards or better, all in the passing game.
Some of these are screens. Some of these,
I
mean,
they
that
did take advantage of the screen game.
Executed blocking, okay, which they do a lot, and Sark is good in his play designs when it comes to that to try and keep, not. But again, when's the last time Georgia was down 260 to 54?
No, that almost never happens.
Doesn't happen.
If I were Georgia, I'd be rooting my ass off for Notre Dame because I think Indiana's such a worse matchup for them in the second round because Rourke will throw the ball down the field, and if there's one place you can get Georgia, that's where you can get them in the secondary. Notre Dame does not throw the ball down the field nearly as well.
Charlie, that's a different class of team now.
I'm just saying from a matchup standpoint. I agree. Notre Dame is a significant favor over Indiana, and they should be. But the matchup, I think, is more favorable to them if they play Notre Dame. That's my take on it.
I'm not. I don't know.
I know what
I could tell you this. Georgia's pulling for Indiana. I could tell you.
Careful what you wish for.
I understand. No, and I like those points where even though they're the stronger team, be careful what you ask for because of matchup. And I understand that, but I don't want you to get caught up in that box score because that box score was, you watched that game.
I did.
Georgia was lucky to be. They let them. Why? Why do you do that when you're not challenged? There's no consequence for being sloppy, being undisciplined.
Now let's not
blowing chains. I mean, when you lead points to the board against Kentucky, who cares?
And it almost bit them that night too. Now let's not take.
They were really never. They were.
They let Kentucky stay in the game way too long. But
you don't even try to go against one of your favorite sayings. I never thought Kentucky was ever going to win.
I didn't either.
Okay.
I didn't either. Let's not lose sight of the fact that even though Carson Beck was struggling in this game, Georgia played half the game with the backup quarterback, who's not.
I asked what'd you think of that? How that played out?
I thought he played a lot better. For somebody that hasn't played at all, I didn't think he was. I didn't think he embarrassed himself. They kept it simple for him. They didn't ask him to do too much. The average yards, I think, per attempt were under 5.
Oh, the physical passing yards wasn't. Well, they didn't let him throw 1 yard down the field.
Right. No, they weren't.
Oh, it was sideways. It was the Jalen Hurts can't run year.
And that's what I would have done, too. I mean,
but over time, okay, you got a few yards there early. The quarterback draws, but they crept up to the line, and it was a hang on. But still, I think that kid coming in the game, from the first snap, just getting after their butts in the locker room, inspired. Hey, our starting quarterback's out. We better step it up. Whatever it is, that offensive line was different in the second half immediately, and there was a spark. If it was strictly coincidental that the spark was correlated to the backup quarterback going in, don't know, but it didn't hurt. And I don't think Georgia wins if Beck takes every snap in that game.
That's interesting because he was really struggling. He couldn't.
Beck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he was like a pitcher that couldn't locate his fastball, man. He was shaky. And they weren't going to replace him, so
Texas is good on defense. They got some good players.
Yeah, there's plenty of talent there. No argument there.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings. 296-0060. Full service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get when you dial 296-0060. Chad Reynolds in Legacy Title.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. Three best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
Troy, we were watching the UFC over here Saturday night as well. One of my buddies hit a little parlay. So how'd it go for you on Saturday night, the UFC card?
Yeah, I hit it big on all my parlays. I had about 3 or 4, although I have to take the loss because I was very effusive in how I figured the co-main event would go down between Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Gary, and I thought Rakhmonov would finish all 18 of his previous opponents inside the distance. I thought he was going to do the same to Ian Gary, but what we learned is Ian Gary's got a chin. We knew he was really good, but Rakhmonov hit him with a right cross in the early second round that floored Geary, but he didn't lose his composure. He didn't buckle. He didn't, get starry-eyed. And that's when I knew. I was like, oh, dang it. He's not going to be able to knock him out. You can kind of figure out how strong a guy's chin is. And I think, to a large part, a lot of the guys who Rakhmonov had been fighting didn't have the chin Gary had. So the money line was still in play, but again, you couldn't really take it straight up because it was like minus 420, but it was good to tack on the parlays, and the fight was never really in question except for a late rear naked choke attempt. But if you were betting parlays with a lot of the heavy favorites, it was a pretty clean sweep, including Cyril Gane, who really should not have won his match on the pay-per-view, but he saved a lot of people who were back in favorites because he did get the split decision, even though there's no way he won that fight. But I lucked out in that regard. So a winning night on the parlays, even though some of my solos, single bets on Rakhmonov to finish and the under on rounds did not hit.
Oregon, did that carry through the week, through Saturday, as far as the public still plowing in on them to seem pretty low? The favorite, 3.5 on a neutral field against a team. And narrative, sometimes you can fade them and build some, but the narratives, they do bet them. And, well, Lil Game James did it again. His team was pathetic for a while, made a game of it late,
yep.
And then on second and one, you throw an interception. The ball game, that's it. No room for error when you give up that many points. Did the public follow through? It sure seemed that way where we were, that Oregon was a big public play.
Yeah. Oregon to cover is going to end up being one of the most wagered on plays of the season, if not the most wagered on play of the season. I'm not exactly sure there, but 70% of the money and 68% of the tickets were on the Ducks to cover. I would have figured we took a little bit more live money on Penn State, especially when they got down early. What were they down, 14, 21 points? And then that's really when they mounted that comeback. I would have figured that the price would have been great there for some people to hop on that. And on the money line, it was 80% of the tickets and 85% of the money. Never really in question. But to your point, yeah, Penn State really fought. They made far more of a game of it. And it seems like when Oregon got up, every time they got up 14, they were like, game's over. And then Penn State kept saying, not so fast. And they really forced Oregon to dig a little bit deeper than I thought they thought they would need to. Oregon had rest, which was really important. They started to run out of gas late in the season. So having, rest when have a lot of speed was important. So it was a really good game, though. Kept us interested the entire time. And we got to that point where SMU and Clemson were battling and Penn State kept making a game of it. It was some really, really good excitement on Saturday night.
Where did they come in on Arizona State? And because it was such a significant line movement, Arizona State was the favorite, but Friday and Saturday leading up to that 11 a.m. Central kick, they bet Iowa State to the favorite. And where did it end up there?
Yeah, it was interesting here because 55% of the money was on the Cyclones to win. Although 65% of the tickets was on Arizona State. And then you look at the spread, 60% of the money, 57% of the tickets were on the Sun Devils. And you can't say enough about what Bellingham's done there. I mean, they were picked to finish last, and they've been explosive down the stretch and have a really fun team if you haven't had a chance to watch them play.
All right, what about the NFL? Did the big boy go down? It was kind of a tempting the Buffalo Bills, and they've been so good this year. And that was a short line at the Rams. Final score was, you had a lot of highlights, a lot of action, offensive football. But in the end, the Bills never had the ball in a one-possession game in the second half. So not maybe as close as you think. Stafford, every time Josh Allen, and it was a lot, got him in the end zone, he answered and kept him at arm's length.
Yeah, that was the big buster of the weekend. We took a ton of money on the Bills to win, a ton of money on the Bills to cover. It was I think second most wagered on play of the weekend. The Chiefs Sunday night game took a little bit more action on the spread. 5.5% of all money was on the Bills to cover. But 4.8% of all weekend money was on the other side. So that was pretty helpful. Bills money line was also 4.5%. And when you look at the spread tickets, it was the fourth strongest play. Now we're talking, we're deep in the season. We're not talking 80% club. 69% of the tickets were on the Bills minus 3.5. So that was the big loser of the weekend. And then followed by a game we talked about on Friday was Philadelphia versus Carolina. Certainly a lot of money, strong play on Philadelphia to win. But there was also a lot of money and a lot of tickets on Philadelphia to cover. 79% of spread money was on Philadelphia to cover, and that game off went at 14. And that was the strongest play, spread play by money, and that was a loser. We talked about now the Panthers have covered, 6 in a row? And they're doing the right thing. They're playing really tough against everyone. They're progressing. They're getting better. The team's playing harder, and they're losing, which is important for the future because they're not, trading draft capital for meaningless wins because, let's be honest, they've already traded enough draft capital.
Troy, the brackets are set as of 24 hours ago. Posting up numbers immediately for to win the national championship in college football. Who's taking the early money and who's the favorite right now?
Yeah, the early money, at least since the bracket was released, it's all on Oregon. And I shouldn't be surprised there. 31% of the money since the bracket was released on Sunday is on Oregon. Georgia's number 2 at about 21%. Texas number 3 at 14%. And then Notre Dame at 10% of the money. Still a long ways to go. Not a ton of early action, but a decent amount. In terms of tickets, Oregon 36%, Georgia 21%, Texas 10%, Ohio State 10%, Notre Dame 6%. So the big three that you would figure, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, that have been near the top of the futures market the entire year. A little interesting that Oregon or Ohio State is out of the top 5 in money, but I think people have been soured on Ryan Day, the loss to Michigan. But even though he has not been able to beat Michigan seemingly ever, they have performed well in the postseason. So. It should be interesting to see how that transitions going forward. And, yeah, we have the lines for the opening games. And I can tell you that the Ohio State-Tennessee game is going to be excellent. That is basically split right down the middle in spread money. I mean, we're talking 50.06% of the money is on Tennessee and 49.94% of the money is on Ohio State to cover. So the public, it's early, but is nip and tuck right down the middle. And then Indiana, Notre Dame, super fascinating just because Indiana, the state, not just the Hoosiers, but, does Indiana ever play Notre Dame? Is that a big state game? Obviously, Notre Dame is far more national team than an Indiana State team, but that should be a very, very fascinating matchup as well to see how the darlings of the season can compare to America's college football team, so to speak, in terms of the handle and the tickets.
It's darling heavy for the participation in this college football playoff. This may be as darling heavy as we will ever see. So, I mean, teams that are scraping up programs that are trying to do what they can to just be affiliated, be a part of some of the major conferences. But SEC to have less than another program, only one more than the ACC. Ooh. Rethink this thing as far as from top to bottom. If you're the big dog like the SEC is. Well, we got Bengals and Cowboys tonight. Joe Burrow putting up all kinds of numbers. MVP-esque type of season. Minus, this team's no good. They're not winning. So that's if you're not winning, it's hard to win some of these individual awards. What's the number right now? Where's the action, Troy?
Yeah, right now we got 69% of the money and 82% of the tickets on the Bengals to win. Shouldn't be a surprise there. Although the Cowboys have won 2 in a row, granted not a great competition. The Bengals have just been struggling. And then, the Bengals are backed by 63% of the money and 65% of the tickets. to win, and the number right now is Bengals -5. This is a stinky game for me because the Cowboys are playing a little bit better, and you just can't trust the Bengals. Here's what I can trust is that Joe Burrow is going to throw for damn near 300 yards and is going to throw for damn near 3 touchdowns. He's done it in 3 or 4 straight games. I'd be all over Joe Burrow props, although Dallas's defense is getting healthier by the week. But still, the Bengals are an electric team that just their secondary has been terrible. They have a really good, Sam Hubbard, who's a outside linebacker, edge rusher, has not been as good as advertised this year. I think there's just been struggles all over the defense. It's just hard to bet on a team that cannot win games, even though they are very explosive against a team that has just been floundering, but seems to be playing hard and playing better and getting healthy, so to speak. So very interesting matchup, but I'm going to be in the props market only, not taking a team to win or cover.
All right, follow Troy on Twitter at Troy Macker. That's Machir. Great stuff as always, Troy. We'll talk to you Friday.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Don't forget our friends over at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. The happy hour is 7 days a week, 2:30 to 6:30. Specialty margaritas, including the 20-ounce margaritas, are just $8. House rocks, frozen, top shelf, frozen, or on the rocks. Hey, Taco Tuesday, 3 p.m. till close at Los Reyes on Lee, just off of Nicholson. Specialty price tacos, 3 p.m. to close as part of Taco Tuesdays. And $5 Wednesdays, small margaritas are $5, and wines by the glass are just $5 all day, all night. Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, right across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Thibodeau Store and the ThibodeauStore.com. Shopping for dad, shopping for your son, your brother. You're looking for some unique items. Shop ThibodeauStore.com, where delivery is available. Outdoor power equipment, chainsaws, trimmers, blowers, weed eaters. You've got your large trimmers and edgers that are on special right now. If you're looking for tools, power tools, hand tools right now, the metric ratchet sets are 50% off when you go to the ThibodeauStore.com. Shopping for grills, they got the big green cookers available, as well as a large variety of grills. Unique Cypress furniture, gliders, swings, chairs. You can get those at the Thibodeau Store. The sister property down in Pierreport, the Pierreport Store. They've been at this for over 100 years. So shop now for Christmas. Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux, and ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Get an update this afternoon on the status of Derek Carr, but the multiple reports are that the belief is that Carr has a broken bone in his non-throwing hand and is going to miss the rest of the season. Darren Rizzi also said that it is possible that he could enter the concussion protocol. So Derek Carr, we'll find out later today for sure. But
what the hell was that?
What's that?
What is he doing?
Oh, that leap to land the way he did?
The whole thing. The run, the leap. What the hell?
I guess he was trying to get a first down, but that was a bad football game between the Saints and the Giants. A very, very ugly football game. I'll be curious to see who plays, whether it was Haener that went in the game yesterday. But earlier in the season, when Haener went in the game when Carr got injured, the next week they started Spencer Rattler for 3 games.
Wait. This is the part of the show where you pump me up about Rattler.
No. Max will be back tomorrow. He'll help you out there. I'll say that you'll get at least a fair look whichever one goes with, because at least they got the offensive line back intact. The last time Rattler had to play, he was playing, I think with 2, maybe 3 starting offensive linemen out at times. The whole interior, I think, missed one of those games. Still doesn't get all the receivers back.
There are plays where, okay, to the quarterback, all right, we need you to just one time just get the first and stuff like that, keep the game, critical part of the game. And then that, I mean, that's like your fullback dive. He bounces it and tries to, hit the corner. I mean, come on, man. You got to know your limits. That's our decision maker. That's our leader. That was weak.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at the BetMGM Sportsbook here at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge. John Summerall reached a contract extension with Tulane, and Tulane
Who was
put
he
out
flirting with?
North Carolina, and Tulane put out a statement this morning about it. Summerall told them that he is not pursuing any other jobs in this off season. They're going to Gasparilla Bowl, and he's pulled his name out of North Carolina or anything else. It's a hell of a get for Tulane.
Mensah going to stay with him?
No, he went in the transfer portal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He went in the transfer portal yesterday. But this is a hell of a get for them. I asked you when the North Carolina job opened up how good a job you thought it was. They're still talking to Bill Belichick, which is baffling to me.
He'd be a great fundraiser. Gift to Gab.
Yeah, he's going to work the rubber chicken circuit. You know, the big thing with – no, he's not going to do very much of that, but would you get people that just gave more money just because it's him? Because the concern would have always been, does that guy really want to go recruit? Well, now recruiting is just about give me the checkbook and tell me how much money I got to spend. You know, even Saban said that yesterday. He says, if you're worried about him recruiting's all about money now. So
AD, the AD, I mean, as an AD, you got to – I mean, you could reach out, hey, we'll show you some of your key boosters. I mean, Bill Belichick, he's
a name on the marquee.
Would you be on? Yes.
Sure.
I mean, you got to the AD is going to raise the money for you. It's something that Woody does. He's kind of a chief money fundraiser for his coaches. So, I'd hire him. Why the hell not? You're North Carolina. I mean, what worse can happen? I mean, you had a pitiful schedule this year. You want to talk about this? Because I looked at all of them. The expansion. I mean, you got so many teams, you can have these inequities. I mean, if you're not careful. Poor Purdue. Purdue's playing so much tougher of a schedule than Rutgers. They flip them, they might have the same schedule. That was Pitt at home and Georgia Tech at home were the only two games that were less than a field goal that they were underdog in this year. So Mac Brown doesn't want to step down. Okay, yes, we don't know if you had enough in the tank when we first hired you 5 years ago. It's been 5 years. You had your run. You don't want to step down. Okay, we'll fire you. You can get fired for the first time in your coaching career, but we got to move on. And I mean, this is not like a whimsical deal by the Carolina fan base and their boosters. They're ready to. Yeah, Mac was fine 25 years ago. It's a different story now.
He was
but
what they needed
Belichick,
25
why the hell
years
not?
ago.
What do you
Absolutely. You can turn things around in a year. Indiana proved that. I mean, now that's the most extreme example, but there's no 5-year plans. There's no 3-year plans anymore. You can turn a program around in a single off season if done properly. You go out and you can turn over. Man, before the transfer portal, you could turn over 30% of your roster. Now you could turn over as much as 60, 70% of your roster in one big offseason.
If I'm a recruit of any impact, I mean, I might give them more consideration than with Bill Belichick coaching than just some John Summerall. Or just, the new up-and-comer.
Yes, he's Bill Belichick.
Yes, you're the greatest of all time. And, yes, you might you can tell me, you can help give me about as good of a chance as anybody to prepare me for the league, to give me the best chance to get to the league.
And the big concern about hiring somebody that age before would have been, well, he's not going to be there that long. So what? If you're a recruit, I'm going to go play for you next year. If you decide after 1 year, hey, man, this sucked, I'm going back into retirement, or I'm going to the league or whatever, I'll leave too. I don't have to make a long-term commitment to the school or the coach anymore. God knows we've seen that. So if I'm a recruit, I'm going to go play for him next year. And if he decides this is not what he wants, then I'll leave too. I'll go somewhere else. You stay, I'll stay. You go, I go. I mean, it's Jimmy Chitwood. Coach stays, I'll play. Coach goes, I go. I still can't wrap my head around why he wants to do this at this point in his career.
Mensa, what kind of landing spot you think he's going to have? Auburn?
Boy, that'd be a good fit, huh? Hugh Freeze can.
He doesn't want to wait a year, huh? He's got starting experience. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't sit behind an Usmeyer for a year, a Milroe for a year.
No.
Because I don't see really any limit, Charlie. I think he can be. He's got good size, good strength, got athleticism. He's got a
Auburn be a good fit. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of. I mean, if Will Howard could go to Ohio State, he can go anywhere he wants. You think Mensa's than Will Howard?
Yes,
I do too.
Yeah. Texas A&M. I think he's better than Marcel Reed.
Yes, he is. He is.
That'd be another place you could put him.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Milroe decided to go back. Most people thought he was a first-round pick. I wouldn't take him in the first round, but somebody would have, more than likely. I was surprised that he decided to go back.
Why not get some more starts?
Go back, get some more starts, give you a better chance once you do get to the league. But
he needs to develop, right?
Yes.
Will it help his development another year in starting, or maybe on the bench in the NFL? Maybe starting with a bad team? Maybe, I don't know.
Getting thrust into a situation where he would be asked to do too much too soon. Not exactly like Anthony Richardson. He's got more starts than Richardson had.
Yeah, but he could be thrust in just as bad of a situation a year later.
He could be.
But he might be
But
more,
he'll be more.
Yes,
yeah.
Reps help. Bo Nix. Bo Nix came out after 2 years starting. Where would he have gotten drafted? 10th, wherever he was? 11th, 12th? Where did he get? 12th?
I think the 11th, was where Denver took him.
I could say below that.
Yes. there were times where I didn't know if Bo Nix would ever be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
No.
After his second year, I would have said no, probably. When he left Auburn, I'd have said no, probably.
Brock Purdy leaves at 2 years.
Nowhere. I mean, he was barely drafted as it was with the 50
But you know
starts.
who's piling up a bunch of starts, man? DJU.
Yeah, you do have to do something in all of these starts. You can't just sit there. I was surprised though that he decided to go back, and maybe we'll hear something from Garrett Nussmeier this week. Now that the season is ended, and you kind of he said he's going to play in the bowl game. By the way, LSU's playing Texas Bowl against Baylor.
Random.
The New Year's Eve at 2:30 in the afternoon. But Nussmeier said after the season finale that he was going to play in the bowl game, which is certainly no guarantee these days.
That's better than not playing in the bowl game as far as LSU's chances of retaining him.
Yeah, I was encouraged by what I heard. I don't know when he's planning on.
Where did LSU finish in recruiting?
8th.
Where did Florida finish?
9th.
You told me they had no class, boy.
When I told you that, they didn't. At the time, I was speaking the truth. They were 50th when I told you that. Once they gave him, once they guaranteed he was coming back, and Lagway says, "Okay, I'm in."
The demise of Sunbelt Billy has been greatly exaggerated.
He put on one of the great 4-week rallies that we have seen.
Pretty good, huh?
From November 1st to December 1st.
After you got Georgia on the ropes and your quarterback goes down.
That's right. From November 1st to December 1st, I'm not sure anybody had more rallied harder than Billy Napier.
The Florida having Mertz or Lagway wasn't a big difference maker for their team, huh?
Lagway, I'm really impressed with that kid. I'm impressed with his talent. I'm impressed with his toughness. And, maybe at the beginning of the season he wasn't quite ready, but, boy, by the end, he looked pretty good. And Napier had those two things going for him. He had two things going for him. Number one was Lagway. The other one was that they didn't have a sitting president, so he keeps the keeps the job.
Florida comes in there with the Ivy League quarterback. Texas is like, I mean, I could see like fans' wives going like, so I thought you said this SEC was tough.
Yeah, this is quite a drop off.
This is not tough.
Quite a drop off.
I thought it was tough. Sankey don't catch no heat.
I would be surprised if anybody went further than that publicly. Privately, yes.
No.
Privately, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, we're not going to discuss it. All right, this is between us, bro, but you got to you're supposed to be our guy fighting for us.
And Kirby said it publicly. That's about as strong a rebuke as you're going to see for the commissioner. Usually,
and that's the guy that just cashed in.
Yeah,
but he knew it was way tougher than it's been.
And he's got the most job security of anybody in the country.
But he needs to qualify his too. Say, hey man, this is way tougher. Sankey's group was way tougher than we're used to. I mean, remember last year?
Yeah.
They weren't battle tested. They were sloppy.
Okay,
in that
so
game.
here's one thing that they could do. I'm sure would get his attention. They could say, we want to bring the non-Power 5, the non-conference scheduling up for a vote again. Right now, the league is required to schedule one power conference.
Gosh.
They could say, okay, if you don't do this, then we'll drop that.
Charlie,
no, I would hate it.
You don't think your ticket buyers, your season ticket holders are just a given, huh? Because if you drop the one non-conference opponent you have a year, I mean, you just throw it in their face. You're asking me for more money because now you have this because you don't know how to budget money because you're spending how much money on these coaches not to coach. Could you be a little bit more No, it's LSU. We produce. Do we really need to tie ourselves to this much? Shouldn't there be some people that want this job? If 3 straight coaches have won national titles, do we really need to tie us into? You understand?
Sure. I was on that soapbox for years. I mean, how many between say 2009 and 2019? How many non-conference games did LSU play in Baton Rouge that were worth a damn? But they moved them all.
The only one that applies, like you said, is South Carolina. They had a real tough non-conference game. They went on the road. And it's a team that won a league, a team that's got multiple bids in the league. And you went on the road and beat them, and they were ready to play. That's a hard win, and you did not get any bump because of it.
No, you didn't. Alabama, for instance, next year has 2. Okay, LSU had 2 this year.
USC and UCLA. Ooh.
Well.
I know.
When you scheduled it, it looked a lot better.
Sad.
No, those teams weren't very good this year. Next year, they get the return trip from Wisconsin, and they play Florida State. Now, I don't know what Florida State's going to look like next year. I assume something in between the debacle of this year and the undefeated season of last year.
I agree with that.
I gave myself a pretty big range.
Undefeated and 2-10.
Did I give you enough range there?
Thanks, Charlie.
But at least they're not playing Florida A&M. Okay, they're playing Florida State. Give them a look. But he could say, you know what? If this is the way it's going to go, then we'll just schedule 4 layup games that we have no chance, and then the fan loses. Yeah, that would stink. And let me tell you, when they were talking about going to 9 league games, you didn't exactly have a whole lot of support from what we call the bottom 8 in the league to keep that power non-conference requirement in there. They didn't want another game like that. They wanted to be able to get into a bowl game.
Saban's barking for Alabama, but I think he's barking for all the SEC teams. To be honest,
yeah.
So that's fine. You want to protect the teams participating in championship games. It's a lot harder to get to the SEC championship game than it is to the ACC. Who's going to argue with that?
No, nobody. And the money is more significant in the SEC. But could they make that money if they abolished it? Could they make that money up by going to a 16-team playoff? Yeah, you eliminate those weeks and you play playoff games the weeks of the championship game if you can make the money work.
The teams that don't make as much money, they may say, hey, screw it. The teams like the SEC and the Big Ten, they got both of theirs in. They'll be fine.
This year, yeah.
You can still, most years you can protect them. With a non-divisional, it's harder to get that 3-loss team.
Yeah.
In there.
You got to do your part.
And it would be a 4th loss. Georgia could have.
If A&M had gotten into the game and lost, that would have been a fourth loss. Yeah, that would have been a fourth loss.
Your best protection is that. Don't play anybody non-conference. We're good.
If Texas A&M plays, instead of Notre Dame, they play Abilene Christian, okay, get to the SEC championship game and lose, do they still get in? Maybe.
Texas A&M.
If they had erased the Notre Dame loss, if they just played a run win, and they get that would have been.
The losses are the most important statistic. The data that they all go through and all their shenanigans.
So if you're A&M, why play Notre Dame?
But you know what? You didn't really help teams that were better, that played tougher schedules. You know, that teams with weaker schedule finished with losses in the past. It's never really changed. Don't forget our friends at MR Property Group. My friends Miriam Del Rio and Remy Curry, big LSU sports fans. Us indeed, buying, selling, or investing. If you're thinking about selling, you may not realize just how much equity you do have in your home. Well, just give us a call. We can do it and see what your options are and weigh it out for you if it might be advantageous to you. How about for the sellers also, great track record of negotiating and getting top dollar for the sellers. For buyers as well, not just that price, but certain conditions, maybe certain flooring allowances and things like that to try and update some stuff if you want to. So always there to negotiate you. And we're there to answer any of your questions in this process. It's a very big deal. We understand there's no such thing as a dumb question. Not so at all. MR Property Group with Keller Williams Red Stick Partners in Baton Rouge, 230-4242, 230-4242.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch. The four college football playoff games are set for December 20th and 21st. And, Jimmy, not a single one of these games do the odds makers think will be inside of a touchdown.
I agreed. We were talking about this before the matchups and the lines came out. And I thought that 3 of the 4 would be over a touchdown, slightly over a touchdown. Where's Texas now?
11.
Still double digits. I did not think it would be that high. I thought it would be between 8, 7.5, and 9.5. I didn't think Penn State would be over a touchdown.
It is not. It's sitting 9 right now against SMU.
You think those are what you expected?
No, I didn't think Clemson would get that many points against Texas. In fact, that's my favorite play of the 4 games is Clemson with all those points, because I do think that they've showed quite a bit. I know what South Carolina's got. That was a hell of a ball game. SMU, I think, is a pretty good club, and they won that game. So, and I know they played Georgia now. They got routed by Georgia, but that was a long time ago. No, I like Clemson's toughness. I think Klubnik is playing really, really well.
They're going to need him in that one.
Dylan Gabriel, I agree with you, is the best quarterback in the playoff, but I'd have Klubnik in the top 3 or 4 the way he's playing right now. I'd put Sam Levitt up there too from Arizona State, but that's who I would have. Out of the favorites, I guess Notre Dame against Indiana would be my favorite play. I'm real loath to give this many points to any of these teams. I mean, these teams have done quite a bit to get here, and to give them this many points, I mean, just sight unseen, I'd probably take all 4 dogs.
Seems a little high, but you also asked me this yesterday, and do you still give the same home field value in a playoff format that you do during the regular season? And 100%, and I think that they have proven.
The reason I asked you is, would it be even more? I knew it would at least be that. Would it be even more?
No.
Okay.
It might be. I don't know how you can do that. there's so many more things now. Everybody's on equal rest. There's no emotional letdown spots. There's no sandwich spot. There's no look at you. You understand?
Yeah.
So everybody, all the emotional angles are all so even. It's not a quick turnaround. They're going to have time to. No, I don't. I think it's the same. I mean, when you're playing, these would be stronger crowds you have. So when Penn State's playing SMU, and I think it doesn't draw. If they were playing SMU during the regular season, it would draw as much juice. But in the playoff, that kind of offsets the juice you get when they play Michigan and Ohio State at home. So it's the one thing is, man, it's colder. Southern teams, so that's not a factor in Indiana, Notre Dame.
No,
it's not a factor down in Texas. Okay, it could be a little cold, but nothing like a Southern team going up. But SMU going up to Happy Valley, Penn State, that could be a factor.
You could easily have below freezing temperatures, maybe snow at Penn State, at Ohio State, at Notre Dame. Yeah, but you're right. Indiana's
Ohio State. Charlie, you know what? Tennessee and Ohio, that's not.
No, I don't know that it'll be
Ohio. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it'll adversely affect Tennessee. I'm just saying, in Columbus, Ohio, in December, it could snow.
But there are other SEC programs that it may have more of a factor.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee is. They got seasons there, Charlie.
Did you?
They actually have winter there.
You watched
They're in the mountains.
Yeah, you watched Tulane the other night. Did they look
very cold?
Yeah.
And the other team, UNLV, looked like a dome team. That was very cold.
Very much so. Very much so on Friday night.
And then we saw some experienced guys in that. Dabo's been how many conference championship games?
10.
SMU and Rhett Lashley's been how many?
None.
Didn't they look more comfortable early?
Dabo's won 9 of those 10 games. He's pretty good at this.
Well, he doesn't have the talent advantage that he's had either. I mean, a lot of people think that SMU is a more talented team.
Yeah, without looking in those other 9 games, how many times do you think he was an underdog? Probably none. Can you remember an ACC championship game where they were the underdog?
No, early when they played Georgia Tech, they were still the underdog when Spiller was there. When he first took over.
Okay.
When he first took over.
Yeah.
But 1 or 2.
Yeah,
is to your point.
Most of the
times he had the big dogs. So.
He's got that.
He's still not taking any transfer portal kids. I'm asking. I mean,
I don't. Last year, I think there were like 3 or something like that.
Okay, so
but not. I mean, portal opens today, so we'll see. A lot of kids have already announced their intentions. He certainly hasn't come out and publicly said that he's having a philosophy change. Hadn't heard that. Of the 4 games, which this is kind of the cop-out answer, but which one are you looking forward to the most? I think Tennessee, Ohio State is going to be a lot of fun. I think that's got the potential to be the best game of the 4.
That's your best. I'm sorry, and we're blue blood light here. I mean, it is March Madness. March Madness has invaded college football, Charlie. It has.
No,
it has.
You're right.
And the problem is, football's not basketball. And sometimes you can't just, it's not, okay, we can out-finesse you, and, you can shoot threes, but there's a lot. It's possible for a budget, basically a team that's got to go through the business community and sell tickets for their games to get to get travel budget, as opposed to the ones that have nutrition centers everywhere along the way with multiple chefs. And I mean, you can't – usually you got to have them big guys to compete. And so we don't – and here's the thing. Nobody's battle-tested. Indiana's a great story. They look great, man. They are well coached. They're disciplined. They're sharp. But, damn it, the one time they step up in class, they got 151 yards. So where are they? I don't know. Do you have a great fit? I mean, SMU. I mean, they beat Pitt. Okay, great.
Well, if we're going to do
they beat Louisville, but I mean, I don't know. They crapped on themselves for a half before they woke up and gave Clemson all they could handle. But I mean, did you get it out your system, or did that go? Are they just limited? But Tennessee and Ohio State have budgets. They have budgets. They teams of this program are supposed to be here. And the funny thing is, this is the weakest price out of any of them because the excitement levels are. They're pissed off they lost to Michigan still, and it's still going to be pissed off. And is that the deal? Is it Ryan Day? Is it championship or bust?
Up there.
Or are them they're going to get another coach?
Up there, it's just different where that game is concerned. Maybe it's like Alabama and Auburn.
It's very much like Alabama and Auburn.
But Ryan Day's record, I'm doing this without looking, is outside of the games they played against Michigan, is something like 48-2.
Charlie.
But that's the
Charlie.
The 0-3.
Nick Saban was 1-4 against Auburn, and as a 3-touchdown favorite and the betting favorite, most of the time, minus last year, because they were the favorite every game, minus last year.
Yeah.
You don't think they might run him out of Alabama?
He would have gotten a lot of heat. Now, if they would have lost,
and Ryan Day ain't no Nick Saban, and they ain't close to him. It never will be.
Ridiculous as it sounds, they would hold that against him, even if he won the national championship. Seriously, if Alabama would have gone 11-1, lost to Auburn, gotten the playoff and won it, it would have eased it. But there would still be people
that pass for Michigan if you win the national title.
Right. And Saban won national titles. Day hasn't. And look, John Cooper had a very similar deal here. He didn't win as much as Day, and they pretty much ran him out because he couldn't beat Michigan. He was like 2-9.
Even if Saban had
Michigan.
2, but then there was a 5-year stretch where he went 1-4 and didn't get a national title in there because of Auburn.
I can't tell you that you're wrong. That game means
they'd run his ass out of town.
That game means more to him than anything. You ask people what Ryan did.
I'm asking
in Columbus, what Ohio State's record is. It's
we'll find out. They're going to do something. Yeah. They're either going to retain him or they're going to fire him. I mean, there's chirping out there that Urban Meyer. I mean, he's not in Cincinnati. He can behave himself in Columbus, huh? Just don't, just. I mean, maybe he's negotiating that. Maybe to get Urban Meyer back, they got to say, okay, you don't have to ride back with the team.
Private jet. You get your own.
Go hit your favorite watering hole on the way back. Go have your shenanigans. And
I don't think that they will fire him this year.
Okay.
That's just my prediction. But you lose one more, I could see him moving him.
He loses to Tennessee, bro. He's in trouble.
If they were to lose, badly to Tennessee,
then
lose. Just lose, period?
Yes.
Do you think if they lose Tennessee, you think he'll be fired?
No, it would not surprise me. They're ready for him to go now.
I wouldn't fall on the floor
fails
shocked.
Again?
I think he's going to
home playoff game.
I think he's going to make it, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. Sometimes it's just those are certain games that you can't lose. What's Dave's record up there? 0-4. Okay. What was Smoke Laval's record in 5 years at LSU? 0-4.
Ryan Day is the only one. Ryan Day and his agent, the only one said, "Pandemic wasn't that long ago." Come on, man. COVID's still around.
2019.
COVID's still around.
It's going to be, 1,800 days before they get another?
It was 1,800 before the game.
I thought it was 1,300.
No, okay, it could be 21, 22.
That's a long time.
Paul Stone's got the meter at his house in the lake in Texas.
That's dog years at Ohio State when it comes to beating Michigan.
Yes, it is. My man Dana Brown, downtown Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com. Both Charlie and I have used Dana's specialized team of attorneys for different reasons at different stages of our lives. And that's why you got to take. We're not trained attorneys. We don't know exactly if our rights are being infringed upon, if we are entitled to more. No. Got to pick up the phone, schedule that appointment, 343-1111. Go to ocbrown.com. You pull it up and schedule it that way without even having to interact with anybody. So it's real easy peasy. Then they will sit down and let you know if you got a case or you don't. If you are entitled to more or you're not. Or if it's even worth it. It's so minimal. It's all the options for you. And that both Charlie and I have not hesitated to recommend Dana's team for other friends as well. Downtown Dana Brown, 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch Lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, the show is available on demand at LouisianaSports.net and at 1045ESPN.com. Handycast will be on Tuesday this week. We will download that post that tomorrow night when we get back. We get back into Baton Rouge, and we'll post that tomorrow night on YouTube. You can get Handycast. Yesterday in the NFL, I'm going to do everybody a favor and leave the Saints game to the side. About as ugly a football game as you can get. It was almost a situation where the Saints gave it away at the end. We told you earlier that Derek Carr likely has a fracture that's going to keep him in his hand. It's going to keep him out for the rest of the year. Aaron Rodgers has his biggest day as a Jet. They still lose. Kirk Cousins' return to Minnesota was a bust for the Falcons. Sam Darnold stole the show there. Panthers are getting better. The Bears are getting worse. And the Chiefs continue to ride the edge there and catch every bounce, literally every bounce going in their direction.
But one thing about it, though, he's perfect, man. Till somebody stops Mahomes with the game on the line, the last drive.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Make your own luck sometimes when you're that good.
If you remember, I guess it was, the one time in the Cincinnati conference championship game where they won the toss and he turned the ball over, or 3 and out. He turned the ball over 3 and out. I think it was.
He found an interception right around midfield.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But that's the one time with the game on the line that he didn't get it done. And remember, some people even think he might have been concussed because he was on fire. But he started right at the end of the first half with the goal line situation, and it kind of did some strange things. But, man, every time he goes down there, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's this game, every time he's got a chance, he gets it done. So
they have
joinked it, though. Remember, Bucker was out, so they had the backup kicker, and it was a chip shot, but he caught a big part of that upright. And when he hit it, did you know immediately if it was good or not?
No, I did not.
No, I didn't, because he got a big piece of it, huh?
Yeah, he did. So they beat the Chargers and Raiders by identical scores, 19-17. The week before that, they beat the Panthers. The Panthers, improving, but still the Panthers, by 3. They beat the Broncos by 2. They beat the Falcons by 5. They beat the Bengals by 1. They beat the Ravens by 7 on a play where the guy's toenail is out of bounds, or that's going to be tied.
And, of course, the Bengals win this year by Mahomes. He got it done, but it required a call, too.
Yeah,
if he doesn't get the call, the game's over.
They got a call. They just find ways to win, but, and in the playoffs, got to go through Arrowhead again, but man, they are as vulnerable 12 and as a 12-1 team can be.
But what are they compared to? Guess what? Buffalo lost, and now they got a little cushion for that number 1 seed.
Right, I say
so they're
going to go through Arrowhead.
They're going to have an easy path.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they will not have to go on the road. They have to go on the road multiple games, tough places too. Buffalo and Baltimore. I mean, that's
and both of those teams, I think, are every bit as good as Kansas City, but the Chiefs beat both of them.
Give me a trip to Houston before I go to Baltimore, and so
if we were doing the college committee in the NFL, we'd say, hey, man, Buffalo they look better. Oh, but they lost to them. Baltimore, sometimes they just look better. Oh, but they lost to them. Buffalo had as entertaining a game, especially in the fourth quarter yesterday, as you can get, but they lost.
Yeah, and like I said, I would like to see it. But Stafford knows he's paying attention, watching this defense. They weren't stopping Allen. Or you sure don't want to be in a spot where you need to stop him. I'm going to take it very, very much like 2019 with Joe Burrow at LSU. Anytime a team got within 1 score, Joe Burrow wanted to let him get the ball again with 1 score. Whether it's Bama, Texas, Florida, Auburn, you want to get the ball with 1 score game in the fourth quarter.
A couple of things that caught my attention. Most of our handicappers had Carolina yesterday.
Yes, spot.
Right.
It was, and I agree. It was XL spot. Only win actually in a 5-pack yesterday on the league.
And they were catching 14 by the time it kicked, right?
14.
Yeah. But they've gotten better. You know, they were right there with Tampa last week. They were right there with the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. They had won 2 games before that.
What they lose by yesterday?
6.
Okay, so that was the first time they lost by more than 3.
In the last month and a half,
five,
yeah.
5 games.
5 games.
2 and 3. They win 2. They lose. They lost to Kansas City by 3. Lost to Philadelphia by 6. And they had their chances. They had the lead in the second half. And, you know, I think Bryce Young is a starting quarterback in the league. I think what he's shown already is that he is a quarterback in this league. Now, there's all kinds of different ranges. He can be a starter, but that doesn't mean he can be a weak starter. And even though mid-season they didn't pick up any extra linemen, receivers, the running game has been steady. Chuba Hubbard has been good. He's been good, even against that line. They do have his yards beyond expectancy is top 5. He's a guy, you know. But Young, what he could do, I've seen Young just speed it up, Charlie. Whether win, lose, draw, he's getting it out. He's not, you know, I mean, and it's just, even with the limited supporting cast, I'm not surprised he's gotten better a little bit because I've seen enough of him at the college level. And I just, you know, guys are big in the SEC too. They're not any bigger or taller in the league. But what he had to do is improve. And he has sped things up. But his accuracy, his elusiveness, he's never going to get bigger. If he gets pounded, he's going to go down. It's a matter of time. But I've seen enough, and they got some bad quarterbacks. They got some weak quarterbacks. And you want to ask me if I want to go with like a Daniel Jones or Bryce Young moving forward? Ain't no doubt. You know, so and we'll see. He's not even to the 20 start mark. How many start last year?
I thought he started the whole way last year.
He did? Okay, well he's there then. He's
right
at it.
I thought he started every game.
So how many did Andy Dalton start? 4 or so. So he's right.
Yeah.
So he's right about 25 starts.
He's benefited also, and this guy's past his prime, but he can run a route. He can still catch a football. Thielen's had a 100-yard game the last 2 weeks. He's like I say, he's well past his prime, but he still
he's
catch
got to
football.
take anything he's got.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Deontay Johnson was supposed to be their leading receiver, and even as few weapons as they have, they ran that guy out of town.
Do you think he's what do you think he's an NFL quarterback? He's going to be in a roster or a starter, a star? I mean,
I think he will be a starter. I don't think he'll be a star. I don't think he'll be a top 6 or 8 quarterback. I think he'll be
a top half.
I think he's a starting quarterback in the league.
I think he's got a chance to be a top half starting quarterback, but we'll see.
I do worry about his durability. You know, if he's really taking shots, and this is not his fault, but he's with a lousy organization. You know, it's very hard to promote stability when you've got as volatile an owner.
Into consideration.
Yeah.
Projecting him long term.
I'd feel a lot better if he were in Green Bay. You know,
I mean, I don't think, you know, sometimes that, you know, like when Cousins, wait, what? We drafted what? Y'all pay me this money. We're gonna need all this help on defense, and you drafted what? I don't think Bryce Young will be in the least bit depressed or upset if they draft their next franchise quarterback early. I don't think so. He would benefit from more of a level playing field.
Yeah. What would you do if you're Minnesota? We were talking about that before the show. Darnold, another big day.
Wait
yesterday.
till the end of the year.
Well, yeah.
See the results. It's tough. I mean, he threw, and Atlanta's terrible, but 5 touchdowns. He had 13, 14 yards an attempt. Huh? The ball hit the ground a handful of times, and they needed it because, you know, Cousins, they had some advantages like we thought, and then he started throwing picks, and they fumble a kickoff, and then boom, you know, here we go. Minnesota gets going at half, and finally Minnesota but they were in a game for a first stretch until Atlanta just starts being Atlanta. I got to see, can he go to Detroit in the last week of the season and win that game and win the division? That would make more of his case. But if he doesn't, and they win one home playoff game in the wild card round and lose in the divisional, very tough. They lose, but they don't even win a wild card game. It'll be even tougher for him. So everything counts.
It's so hard to play the position in the league, and what we're seeing now is I don't want to call them reclamation projects, but these guys that were expected to be stars, they were very high picks, that it didn't work out for them, but second time around, after 5 or 6 years in the league, they've really become upper-level players. Is Darnold going to be like Jared Goff? Is he going to be like Baker Mayfield? Is he going to be like Geno Smith? All of these guys were very high draft picks. Smith was a second-round pick, but he was the first quarterback taken in that year's draft. And none of them set the world on fire where they were at the beginning of their career. But after that, 20 starts, 25 starts, 40 starts, whatever it will be, they became really good players in this league. Doesn't work for everybody. Jameis has got a ton of starts, and he's still probably a backup quarterback, or a really good backup quarterback, because you can't trust him to be your starter.
He made some nice throws.
Yeah.
And he threw an interception to a guy wearing 95.
That was a nice catch by 95, too.
I know, but
he reached up.
Can't throw
Jameis
picks to 95.
He's the ultimate pinch hitter,
Yes.
You put him in there, and he might hit the ball out of the park.
And this is what scares me if they can't go with Beck. Okay, that's fine. You got us through. And it reminded me so much of Matt Mark in 2001. Sort of the spark, and, it's just the team being unprepared for one play over and over in the second half by LSU. Because that's all he ran. He ran screens and he ran quarterback draws. It was Jalen Hurts' his freshman year at Alabama with Lane Kiffin until Aranda said, no, we're not going to do that. But guess what? In the fourth quarter, like the last 6-7 minutes, Texas wasn't worried about vertical. You threw that screen, we had two guys waiting for you. It was just you. But like I said, in a limited short term, I can get by with it. But once you realize my limitations. And, again, let's not make this guy out from Georgia. He was a 5-star. He was recruited by a bunch of people. Now, is he any good? That's up to you. He's not ready right now, though. Beck's got 2 years of starting. Yeah,
we'll see what they say about Beck today. He could barely lift his arm when he had to go back in and hand the ball off. They got extra time. They do.
Don't forget our friends over here at the Beau Rivage. Tomorrow we will be at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in the heart of Mid-City. So we want to thank all of our great sponsors that bring our – we'll be here in 2 weeks from now. We'll be at the Queen next week. And we also got to remind everybody, getting a little chilly, safety heating check. Smells a little not quite right. Man, you got to call my friends over at Total Maintenance. One-time heater check, normally $179. It's just $79. And what we're going to do is going to service your whole system, clean it, make sure now, not just the heater safety check, but when you start using it, come spring and summertime, where that AC just runs, and you don't wait till it breaks down to call, it probably will keep it from breaking down if you call right now. If you get it, man, it's going to lower your monthly bills, extend the lifetime of your warranty, get those checks. So right now, one-time heater check, normally $179, just $79 if you mention my name, Jimmy Ott. Call Total Maintenance, 480-1000. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at the Beau Rivage, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from the Beau Rivage on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Multiple reports. Ian Rappaport's the latest one that we've seen is that Derek Carr did, in fact, have a significant fracture in his non-throwing hand. That's going to put him out for the remaining 4 games of the season. Carr on that leap yesterday put his hand down and broke something in there. So we'll see what Darren Rizzi says. Will it be Jake Haener or will it be Spencer Rattler? At least they will have a full allotment of the offensive line that is available for them. this time around, unlike the last time. So thanks to the folks here at the Beau Rivage. Such a wonderful place to come down. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks. We'll be here for playoff weekend, the weekend before Christmas on the 21st. So if you want to make plans, come down here. Great place to watch all of the games here at the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage. Terrific food and a wonderful staff here at the Beau Rivage. We always enjoy our stay down here. And tomorrow we'll be at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. For Jimmy and Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.